What gives Congress the right to even enact the FACE Act? Apparently, if you look at Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, which enumerated Congress's power, this doesn't look like it falls under any of those powers.
Yeah, so, Don Lemon, would you like to hire me to spring you out of jail, but the cost is you have to burn down the New Deal state? Or all these precedents for the New Deal. So, okay, maybe you don't have to go that far, but some of us would like to go that far.
I like it.
I'm not telling
I'm
you
interested.
if I'd like to go that far or not. I'm just saying some people. I mean,
Again, this is called the Rationally Based Podcast.
Speaking for a friend, some people would like to reverse the New Deal state. But
I'm the friend.
yeah. When I say speaking for a friend, it's always Catherine. The crazier the idea is, again, doesn't mean it's wrong. Could be crazy. Doesn't mean it's wrong. So as you said, so Congress only has powers. So we discussed a little bit on our first episode. Congress, the federal government, is supreme over contrary state law, but only within its sphere, right? So it has limited and enumerated powers. Those powers are described in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, which lists Congress's power. Where does Congress get all the power to regulate our everyday lives, all the economic transactions that we engage in? Where does it get the power to do this the FACE Act, either provision, right? The abortion provision, the abortion clinic provision, or the religious assembly provision? And the answer is Congress's power over interstate commerce, or Congress's power to regulate commerce among the states. Now, the listeners should be like, how is this commerce? Which I see it on your face.
The church was in one state. They're all in Minnesota. How does that make sense?
It's all within one state, so it's not among the states. And is it commerce, which is another question. So historically, Catherine, your instincts are excellent. As a historical matter, Congress's power over interstate commerce was just the power to regulate trade across state lines, barter, the exchange of goods, the sale of goods across state lines. So historically, commerce was something other than production. Agriculture, mining, refining, labor laws, all these things were preceded commerce and were called production, and they were articles of commerce. So the states continue to regulate labor, production, mining, agriculture, and the like. But over time, in the New Deal, in order to justify a lot of the New Deal federal regulations, the Supreme Court made two moves. First, it said that production is kind of sort of commerce, kind of sort of close enough. So they basically said, well, production has a direct effect on commerce, a substantial effect on commerce because it becomes commerce. So it totally collapsed this distinction. And now, today when we hear commerce, we think, oh, economics. But no, it used to be just the exchange of goods. So first it extended the doctrine to cover things that preceded commerce production, and then it also extended it to things entirely within a single state. So the famous
Crazy.
You think that's crazy? Let me tell you.
Just getting started.
Yeah, let me tell you about a case called Wickard against Filburn. And the way I like to tell my students you can remember this is Wickard versus Farmer Filburn. So Farmer Filburn.
Are your students kindergartners?
Oh no, but it's a heuristic to help remember. Yes,
that's very helpful. Thank you.
So Farmer Filburn was growing wheat on his own farm entirely for his own purposes, at least under the assumed facts of the case. Okay. So he gave some feed, used some as feed for his animals, and then he used some for his own consumption, entirely within his state. Didn't sell to anybody, wasn't commerce, didn't go across state lines anyway. So again, own production on his own farm for his own purposes, entirely within a state.
Oh, he's golden.
You would think. Think again.
Just what year is this? Contextual.
I believe it's 1946, 1947, okay. But it's in the 1940s, just after World War II. And the question was, can Congress impose quotas, production quotas, saying Farmer Filburn cannot raise more than X amount of wheat as a regulation of interstate commerce? Mm-hmm. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm not engaged in commerce. I'm not engaged in anything interstate. Yeah. My own farm, right? And the Supreme Court upheld Congress's power. I know Grace looks shocked.
That's off. That's enraging.
And not only is that enraging, but the reasoning is even more enraging. It basically, what is the connection to commerce, you ask, or one might ask? And the answer is, well, by growing his own wheat, he was forestalling access to the market. So by growing his own wheat, if he hadn't grown his own wheat, he could have bought it on the market. So basically, we prefer consumers, right? Like, oh, don't be a producer. We want you to buy stuff, right? And so if if now again, so that reduces demand and reduces the price. And how could one person's impact on this matter? How can that really affect interstate commerce? Good question. So what the court basically said is, well, Farmer Filburn alone may not have an effect on interstate commerce. But if everybody started to grow their own wheat, the horror, then we wouldn't have an interstate wheat market. And so in the aggregate, if you aggregate the actions of individual farmers like Farmer Filburn, in the aggregate, that might have a substantial effect on interstate prices and therefore interstate commerce.
It feels like such a slippery slope.
It is I'm hardcore. I think it's just like exchange of goods, right? And so I would get rid of production sort of altogether. But certainly entirely in your own, farm, it is kind of crazy. I will say that the Supreme Court has tried to rein in a little bit the reach of the Commerce Clause in like the 1990s.
Always hard to do. It's like the growth of government. It's so difficult to shrink it back again, almost impossible.
That's exactly right. What is it? Was it Reagan? I guess we're invoking Reagan again. Before your time, just kind of I was there a little bit, in diapers still at the time. But he said there's nothing closer to eternal life than a government program.
Yes.
Right? And just
funny.
There's, the same thing with the Commerce Clause. Like it's just a constant one-way ratchet in favor of federal power. But there was some glimmer of hope in the 90s and early 2000s when Congress enacted the Gun-Free School Zones Act. In its infinite wisdom, even though there were already state laws against possessing guns in school zones, like 47 states had these laws, Congress in its infinite wisdom said, let's make it a federal crime to possess a gun near a school. Is that interstate commerce?
No.
Well, under Wickard v. Filburn, can you make the argument, under Wickard v.
What? They're not going to go buy guns?
Is it like because it impacts consumers buying guns?
It's even more clever than that. The argument would be that guns near schools affects the educational process, and education over time affects someone's productivity, and someone's productivity affects interstate commerce. This was the view of 4 liberal justices in dissent in that case.
It feels like the biggest leap of logic, like the biggest stretch.
Well, you could be a Supreme Court justice, Grace, because what the majority said was it would require piling inference upon inference to get from a gun near a school to this substantial effect on commerce. So what they basically said is, okay, that's too much. That's too much. Guns, possessing a gun isn't economic. Being near a school isn't economic. Even education, they said, isn't economic.
So that didn't stick.
That's right. They invalidated it.
Okay.
But it's still crazy that 4 justices had, obviously, as we talked about earlier, some kind of political motive, I would think, because the only thing that would, cause them to vote that way would to be thinking guns bad, and nothing else, right?
Which reminds me of how abortion, federal abortion laws made it through past the Supreme Court, based on the privacy provision.
So then why go and pretend to be this unbiased figure by not attending the Grammys or whatever? I don't know, just buy it, whatever. You're not fooling us when we look back at all these things.
Yeah, a lot of these 5-4 controversial decisions definitely look political, right? And you could say that, of course, for the conservative majority, they like guns or whatever. I mean, at least
no one likes guns in schools, really.
Fair. Well, you're right. I mean, there were 47 state laws, I think, already, or 40 something. I don't know the exact number. So, again, why did you need, other than appear to be doing something to win votes back to your constituents or something? Now, but the court held it back. The court said that much was too much, and if that's too much, maybe the FACE Act.
Okay, so can we go back to, is Don Lemon the farmer in this situation?
I know, we're doing the
We've weaved too close to the sun.
Yes, Don Lemon is Farmer Filburn. So Don, are you ready? Are you ready to take on the New Deal?
So if Congress didn't have the authority to, pass the FACE Act, then there would be no way to prosecute Don Lemon for, interfering in this worship.
They could prosecute him, but then Don Lemon, as a defense to the prosecution, should say the law under which he's being prosecuted is unconstitutional because it exceeds Congress's power under the Commerce Clause. Now,
that'd be a fun case to watch. I hope he does that.
Don, here is some free legal advice, but I'm not your lawyer. This is not an attorney-client relationship, so I know it's on camera, but I will now deny having said that this is legal advice. Here is a free legal opinion from a pundit who's not your lawyer. You do have an argument that the at least the religious assembly portion is unconstitutional, even under the gun-free school zones case, because is that really economic? Though, I mean, pastors are paid and people donate to the church. And surely, by the way, going to church makes citizens more productive, the rest of the week. I don't know. So, but you could make an argument under, that it's not economic, and therefore under the modern, the cases from the 1990s and 2000s, maybe you get off scot-free. But just to be safe, you should just argue that the whole New Deal state was wrong, that Wickard v. Filburn was wrongly decided, and if you want to hire me, I will happily make that argument for you. So Don, you have to choose, okay? Your freedom or the New Deal. Okay, that's your choice, and I'm happy to provide legal services should you desire them.